So, I've got the amazing Julia here, and this is basically my idea of a perfect chat to illustrate to others, to you, about this work. And when I say this work, there's a few things I'm talking about. Firstly, sort of obviously, I'm talking about the year-long work because Julia is an initiate of our year-long work. But on a wider scale, I'm talking about the work, like the work that Julia now does intensively and extensively with others, the work that all of this work leads to, you know. And what we're going to be talking about, well, we don't know what we're going to be talking about. I'm just going to be asking Julia questions and asking her to share with you about some of her experiences. But what I would like you to notice is this is what the work is about. This is what it can do. And we said, didn't we, a minute ago, that inspiration.
Yeah, as the reason that I've decided to come today and have a chat and share with you is hoping that it's going to inspire some of you to come and do the work, and especially the very, very deep work, deep healing work with the magical Ruth Cato, that for her holding space for me on the year long that literally transformed my life, and I'm eternally grateful for that experience.
Yeah. So Julia, would you like to share what you're doing in the world at the moment? And maybe you might like to also share what you were doing in the world a couple of years ago.
Wow, where should we start? Should we go back or should we do where we are now?
What do you feel?
Okay, there's a lot going on for me right now, so maybe I'll start where we are now. Okay, so I am co-facilitating a New Moon Women's Circle with the beautiful Linny from Sound Bubbles, and we hold space for 13 women every new moon, and we are unfortunately or fortunately fully booked for our next one, which is on the 11th of March, and we have a waiting list.
Where is that exactly?
Yeah, this is in North Herefordshire, in Hamnish, tiny little hamlet in Hamnish. Then I will be facilitating a drop-in coffee morning for anybody to come and have a chat, have a coffee, or just be heard. And that's going to be taking place in the Crystal Lounge Cafe in Ludlow, near Ludlow Library. So it's between Ludlow Library and the Ferbers Hotel, and that will be every Monday between 10 and 2 p.m. And we have a beautiful room upstairs for you to come and have a private chat. We're hoping to build some sort of community there. Yeah. So very, very excited about that, and it's an amazing place as well. The crystals, the cake. You know how much I love cake. Yeah. And I've even asked them to make sure that they have chamomile tea. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really, really beautiful environment. I'm also going to be facilitating a full moon circle there. So around every full moon. And that's going to be held between 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. And it's fantastic because I was like, where are my women going to park, especially the winter months? You can park in the library, which is basically adjacent to where the coffee shop is, Crystal Coffee Lounge. There's CCTV all the way along to the library, and it's free after 6 p.m.
So that people feel safe and they're able to get there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then I am going to be co-facilitating again a spring day retreat with a yoga goddess and shamanic craftswoman Leonie Cleaves. I'm really super, super excited about that. This is going to be, I'll have to check the date, I think it's the 23rd of March, and that again is in Hamnish in North Herefordshire. Basically, I've got the village hall keys.
Yeah, amazing.
So we're just going to create lots and lots of fantastic events there for you. So yeah, that's going to be, I can't find it, Ruth.
So Julia is currently and has sort of grown into this very natural, very bubbling, feminine, surrendered energy of community. She's just creating all of these incredible things very effortlessly, but really potently. And you might get to see as we have this share with you why that is so exciting and where that's come from. Yeah, do you want to go backwards?
Yes,
share your
I
times
just
and
share the
dates.
date. So that's Saturday the 23rd of March, and that's between 10 and 4. And there's going to be yoga, breathwork, guided meditation, obviously circle, connection, bring and share lunch, hopefully weather permitting, some nature connection too, and craft.
Amazing.
So we will craft in circle.
Beautiful.
So yeah, if I go back to where the journey began, so and what drew me to do the year-long journey. So I have had a marriage which was submerged in domestic abuse. Every form of abuse was present in the marriage, and I struggled very much with my mental health and isolation as a direct result from that marriage. Excuse me. It actually affected me to the point that I had to spend quite some time in hospital on medication. I paid for therapies. None of these things were helping me, but they were just keeping me stuck. And the diagnosis of the complex post-traumatic stress disorder and the fact that I'd been married, which is I was at high risk of harm or being killed from my perpetrator. These things all just compounded so much that I couldn't leave the house. So for 3 years I didn't leave my house. I couldn't leave my house alone. And so somebody suggested that I got my little dog, and that he was actually trained as a assistance dog. He's got his little collar, and I relied on him very heavily. But still I was desperate for connection, and especially with women. But that was a really scary place for me. My trust had been broken in female relationships as well as, you know, the male relationship. And then I moved away from where I lived, and I saw a poster, and it was just before lockdown, and it was for a women's circle, and I really felt drawn to that. And it said about offering a safer space and non-judgment. And yeah, I had to really sort of work through quite a lot of barriers to get myself there, though. The anxiety, and yeah, just feeling safe leaving the house, let alone expressing myself in circle. And the first person that I had anything to do with was the wonderful Jane Mary. And I'd really been called to this advert, and it was, it said to me like awaken your inner goddess type thing. It wasn't actually called that. It was back to the raw bones, and I was like, that is what I feel like I need to do. I literally need to shed all of this stuff from me that's like suffocating me. It's not letting me grow in any way. So I went along to her workshop, and through Jane I heard about Ruth, and so I went along to Ruth's moon circles. It's funny actually, because I met somebody the other day that said, oh my God, what happened to you? You changed. And I went, I met Ruth Cato. That's what happened. Yeah.
So when I first met Julia, if I think about the Julia that I knew in the first circles she joined and when you first joined the year long, and I said to her during her initiation, I said, if somebody, that would be me, if somebody is an addict of transformation, then Julia is like your perfect case here, because Julia arrived in circle really tight, really closed, really, you know, trying desperately to keep herself safe, weren't you? It was, you know, like this. And the bravery that I think it took for you to step out of your home, to step into circle, you know, and I'm choking up just thinking about it. It was clearly enormous bravery that it took her. And the person that we see now, you know, is so different. And we actually saw that over a weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a real transforming weekend. And the first time that I shared in circle, I left my body. I can't remember even what I said. It was literally terrifying for me to be seen or heard. And with Ruth's help, with doing some grounding exercises, I built up a bit more confidence. And I think it might have been the second weekend. And there was just this point of like, I've got to surrender to this. I've got to surrender to this. This is going to be the key for me to be able to let go of these shackles and fully heal. And I did. I totally surrendered, didn't I? Completely surrendered. And that's what Ruth does. I remember actually when I told you I was going to do your circle, we were at a dark moon circle, and you said, I've got you. And Ruth just placed her hand on my back, and that's all she had to do. And I felt that energy. I felt that she'd got me, but she wasn't going to cradle me. And that was really apparent all through the year long. Ruth's got the most amazing boundaries. I've learned so much from her with that. And making you stand in your own power and take radical responsibility for yourself. I think what had happened in my life because of trauma from childhood as well, I tended to look and be attracted to codependent type relationships, and I'd never really taken responsibility for myself and my own needs. I was trying to look after other people so that I could have my needs met. And Ruth was like, you have to be responsible for yourself. If you need to do this, and I was like, oh God, first time I've ever asked myself, what do I actually need? And that was a huge bet. That was huge for me. And every day I ask myself, what is my body telling me today? What do I need? Yeah. But there were so many magical things that happened. I hand it back to you for a minute if you want to ask me another question.
So, so watching Julia through the year long, really, she works with all of the practices that we work with. You watched that moment of surrender in that second gathering, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because can I share what the one phrase that I initiated you into?
Oh, yeah.
So as she surrendered at that point, and then we get to the end of the year, and I was shown during initiation that one of the things to initiate her into was to initiate her as the breaker of chains. And my voice breaks even as I say it now, because the thing that you're being initiated into is the thing that is most potent, is the thing that you as wounded healer have walked through in your life, you know? Having all of these chains holding you back, and now Julia is not just smashing them off herself, like she's smashed them. and now she's here to smash them for everybody, you know, in this beautiful, passionate way. And that's everything about this work for me, is that what I want you to find, yeah, absolutely, is your magic. But to do that, you need to find also your wounds.
Yeah, that was a really key part for me, was identifying my core wounds, and working with that, and doing so much inner child work, and also the shadow stuff. That was a big weekend. That really was. It's just every weekend was a big weekend. It was like unraveling all the things that we've been taught or expected of us. There was that hole and that shedding of that skin, and every time I stepped away from here, it was just like literally I felt lighter and lighter, but I wasn't, because there was always cake. So it definitely wasn't lighter. But inside, and it was like, so something I'm really passionate about is cord cutting. And it was like those cords were just like crumbling away from me, of all this conditioning of the whole of my life.
And then out steps this vibrancy, you know, and that's the bit that gets me so excited, as some of the bits are tough, like, and if you really step into the work, it's really tough.
Whoa.
You know, you can skim it on a surface level, but if you want to step in like Julia has, there's some really hard bits.
Yeah.
And you are very supported with that, as Julia says, that, you know, you can step in, and then that means if you stepped in, you get to step out into this ascent. You know, you descend and then you ascend, and you're ascending into your truth, into your vibrancy, into whatever, you know, you're not going to look like Julia does afterwards. You're going to look like you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look like who you are underneath all of the chains and all of the conditioning.
Yeah, I think that was a really, really good point, actually. There's no fairy dust on this. I'm very much like sparkles and fairy dust. You know, I've got my head up in the planets most of the time, but there's no fairy dust. This is a huge commitment to yourself, and I think it was the first commitment I ever made to myself as an adult. And I'm not even joking. There was so much resistance, and you make a commitment, so you've got to pay, and there's no getting out of that. So once you've made that, but then it's like, I've got to show up, and I'm terrified. Literally was terrified. I wish we'd done a video when you first ever met me, because you wouldn't believe who I was then. Yeah, it was every weekend I would feel physically sick. I'd have headache, and I'd be like, I can't do this, this is too scary for me. But there was something, and I know now it was Spirit clearly saying, you know, you've got to show up for yourself. How can I show up for you if you're not prepared to show up for yourself? And it was that self-love thing. Yeah, and there were tears, many, many tears. But what was so beautiful was that I realised, sitting in circle, and I'd done years of therapy, privately, one-to-one, what really, really helped me was that sitting in circle with women, that basically we were mirroring each other's stories in some way, and that each time somebody spoke, and this is why it's so passionate for me to talk about subjects that are normally hidden, is that each time we bring up these subjects, mental health, domestic violence, it gives permission for our sisters to talk about the same. And without that, and without us being open about these subjects, the healing can't begin. And so for me to sit in circle, for somebody to talk about some of their trauma in the beginning, gave me that permission to be able to do that. And it's all confidential. But what happens in that circle stays in that circle, and you really feel that, and you really feel that you're almost becoming naked together, and it's safe to do that. It's safe to share all of it and feel that, just being held and really supported. And I'd never felt like that in my entire life, even as a child, I never ever felt that. I never felt witnessed, I never felt heard, I never felt that all my emotions are valid. There were good emotions, bad emotions. I can remember screaming and punching the hell out of a pillow, and snot hanging out of my nose, and disappointment, and I'm angry about this, and I'm sad about this, and literally I listen to all my emotions now, and they're like little flash torches of where I might need to change part of my life, or something's not aligning. But if you have to keep all of those emotions under lock and key, there's no map. It's like you're burying the map in the back garden, aren't you? Yeah, to really step into who you're meant to be. And I'm ever so grateful to Ruth for holding that space for all of us beautiful women to emerge and step into our truth and our power. And you could work with her too, and find who you're meant to be and heal all those wounds that hold you back.
Thank you so much, Julia. It's so special. I would like to sit here and talk to Julia for a long time and reminisce about our year-long experiences together. There's been so many amazing moments. But if you're feeling that Julia also has a resonance for you, maybe parts of her story or even all of her story, sounds like yours, there will be a link to contact Julia or to work with Julia below the video.
Yeah, I've got very limited one-to-one sessions. I've actually got one place. There might be one coming up in April. Majority of people book a few 6 sessions with me, and then we reevaluate. So there's contact me. The website's coming out next week, actually. Yeah, I'm getting a new website.
And one of the things that Julia does really, really well, although she thinks it's really funny because she doesn't like it very much, is she's an amazing, essentially social media is perfect for her because she is about communication and community. So that actually does her thing really beautifully. So just keep watching. And when something arises that is like, oh yeah, that's mine, that's the thing I need to do to work with Julia, then it will arise at the right moment, and get in there quick, because all of her stuff fills up immediately because she's this vibrant, amazing being. So please come and work with Julia. We're both in North Herefordshire, but I do a lot of work online as well. The year-long work is all in person up here in this beautiful house that we get to work in, on this beautiful land.
Oh, it's amazing.
Which is super magical. And if you do come and do the year-long work, you can come and stay here. So we have people from all over the country and Scotland come and stay here to do that work. So don't let distance limit you. Same as work with Julia. Don't let distance limit you.
I do some online. I do. I prefer to do in person because I like to sort of create sacred space, and we can do one-to-one where we go for a nature walk. Yes, I'm surrounded by the most fantastic land. We've got stream, we've got old trees, and field upon field, and we don't see any human. We see lots of other life, but not human. But I am happy if that's the only thing that suits you is one-to-one online. About your accommodation, it's amazing, and you don't have to pay. There's no extra cost, so you can make a whole weekend of basically nourishing yourself.
Really make the space for it.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Julia. It's been really, really good to do this. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you.